President Donald Trump is making his mark on the U.S. Federal Reserve, naming former investment manager and central bank governor Jerome Powell to replace Janet Yellen, whose term expires in February. If confirmed by the Senate, the next chairman of the Federal Reserve will oversee U.S. monetary policy and maintain the stability of the world's largest economy. Mil Arcega has more from the nation's capital.
After nearly 4 years as the most powerful banker in America, Janet Yellen is out and Jerome Powell is in. President Trump at the White House Thursday saying few public positions are as consequential as the one he was about to announce.
Accordingly, it is my pleasure and my honor to announce my nomination of Jerome Powell to be the next chairman of the Federal Reserve.
The 64-year-old Powell represents the best of both worlds for the president, a Republican lawyer with Wall Street credentials and 5 years at the Fed, but one who's unlikely to veer far from the slow, cautious approach of his predecessor.
In some ways, Jerome Powell represents continuity from the Janet Yellen Fed. He has served as a Fed governor, has been consistent with the Yellen Fed, not voting against the decisions of the Fed. So continuity on that front.
But unlike Yellen, Powell is also a critic of strict regulatory policy, saying in a speech last month that more regulation is not always the best answer to every problem. But easing regulations also carries the potential for risk.
Currently, today, there isn't any glaring imbalances in the economy, but I think over the next few years, these imbalances will begin to develop as our economy is already close to, if not at full employment. So I think the catalyst for the next recession is likely going to be a disruption in financial markets.
Immediate challenges facing Powell include transitioning away from current low interest rates. But because economies move in cycles, analysts say the next Fed chief must also be ready for the inevitable downturn.
The odds are high that the next Fed chair may well preside over the next recession. And so, the depth of that recession, the timing of it, and, in many cases, the recovery from it, going to be highly dictated on who is sitting at the head of the table.
Economists who spoke with VOA say whoever sits at that table will carry enormous influence, including the ability to affect global investments, interest rates, and spending around the globe.